Hey, how's it going, guys? So in the previous video, I only used two microphones. I have a pair of Rodan T's, one on the ride, one on the hi-hat, and that's it. The rest is all triggers. So I have a Roland RT30HR on the snare. I have Red Shot D-drum on the toms, and Trig Mic laser pick on the kick drum. And for my drum module, I go straight into my interface. I have a Focusrite 18i20 Scarlett, and I use stock Reaper plugins. I use JS Audio to MIDI drum trigger, which takes the signal and converts it to MIDI. And then there's only really one setting that you have to worry about with this little small app. It's the sensitivity knob. So if you're playing rim shots, you want it closer to the line. And when you're playing ghost notes or faster stuff, you want it around 38, 39, depending on how hard you play. But you're going to have to play with it to avoid double triggering. But that's really the only thing you have to worry about with this little app. With Resample-O-Matic 5000, this takes the audio, the MIDI, and converts it to a sample. So once you load a sample, it changes to the name. And this is your folder. You can go through them one at a time and try them out. And it's a pretty cool app. I really like this little app, actually. This controls the decay. For blast beats, I find it's better to have a pretty short decay. And you can also adjust the pitch. You can do whatever you want with the pitch. You can load multiple samples with the same sort of thing. So you can have matched up samples on top of each other, 3 or 4 samples if you want, have like a really crazy sound. Or you can have reverb, so for like a slam part. You can load any sort of mastering plugins to this. That's another benefit of doing it this way, is that you're not limited to what the module can do. You can do anything inside of a DAW. So it's a very powerful technique. You can load EQs, you can load anything. So it's very powerful to do it through this method. And also within this app, there's this cool feature. You can click on the list button, and this allows you to add dynamics to your playing. So if you want to load all of these sound samples, you can go from lightest hit to hardest hit and arrange them, and then it'll adjust it according to the sensitivity. It works pretty well. I find it works the best around with 4 or 5 different samples, because if you have like 20 different samples, then it kind of gets confused and it doesn't know like which one to pick. So you have to narrow it down to just kind of soft, medium, hard, and hard. So that's pretty much all you need for metal anyways. But for myself, I only use one. I think that's good enough, because the overhead mics, they capture a bit of the dynamics and it sounds more natural. Like when you really lay into it, it captures that feel. So I don't really feel like I need to add dynamics because it does mess up when I'm doing blast beats or something and I want it to be just a machine gun. So that's just a personal preference thing, but it does do dynamics pretty well. And the latency just comes down to your interface, actually. Like my Focusrite, the latency is not that great, but if you had a really good interface, then this would be perfect. This would work just as well as the best sort of flagship or Roland model or Yamaha module out there. In terms of latency, it just comes down to your interface and your computer. It's really, these are like such low. It's like 0.1 CPU. So it's really nothing on your computer. It doesn't really matter how fast your computer is to do this, but your interface is what's going to determine the latency and the speed response to your ears. So I'm looking to upgrade because my interface is kind of slow, but that's really what it is. That's what it comes down to. And one other feature is the round robin, which is kind of cool, because what you can do is have 4 of the same sort of hits. Like say if you have a pack that has like hard or medium hard hits, and they're in the same sort of range of dynamics, what you can do is load, again, you go to the list and you load 4 different types of hits or 4 or 5 different hits, just so it randomizes, and it's called round robin because it's randomizing the hits so that when you do a blast beat, it's not just like a constant machine gun. It's like it does have a human feel to it more so. And another trick is to record your own snare and toms if you want to do it that way. That's a pretty cool way. If you have a really nice studio and you have a nice drum set, then record your own triggers and then blend it in with the overheads, and it will sound really natural. But the round robin effect is pretty useful if you're into that sort of thing. But again, I'm a thrash and death metal drummer, and I just use hard hits all the time. So that's all I need, and it's good enough. If you listen to most awesome Swedish death metal or just well-produced metal albums, they generally just stick to the hard hits all the time. They resample it and put on rim shots or just hard hits most of the time, because any sort of like variance, it just sounds weaker. It just sounds like not as punishing and brutal. So for myself personally, I find the machine gun effect is what I'm looking for. But the decay, though, is really important, though, because if you don't adjust the decay and you have that tail end and all that ambience in the room, then it sounds kind of messy and doesn't really have that effect that I'm looking for. So I tried putting on reverb and messing with reverb, and it actually ruined it. So yeah, that's just one little trick that I picked up over time. Is like you have to be concerned with the decay when you're doing blast beats. But that's really it. JS Audio to MIDI drum trigger and resample-o-matic. For my kick drum, it has onboard samples, so I just use an EQ and a booster, and I kind of mute out this region because it's hissy. There's a tail end to the kick that's it's kind of fizzy and hissy, and I just want to. It's kind of like an amp sim. Just want to get rid of that tail end that kind of put on a high pass filter. So yeah, a high cut filter. I always confuse those terms. So that's everything, dudes. Try it out. It's free. It's really powerful. You can load mastering plugins, and it's just custom, so you can get the most modern samples. You're not limited to, drum kit from Hell's sample or like the latest sample pack suite. You can use. There's dozens and dozens of sample sites out there that you can use for free, and also just create your own or just there's always new packs coming out by awesome producers, metal producers. I'm using, I should mention, this is kind of important, but I'm using the Metal Drum Kit. That's a free sample. Go to themetalkickdrum.com, get it for free. And also on my toms, I'm using Dave Otero for, these are pretty nice. I have also Adrian Erlandson, I think I'm pronouncing that right, from At the Gates. I have his sample pack, but I like these toms a little better. So they're both really, really good, though. They would work in metal context perfectly well, but I just prefer the sound of the Dave Otero ones. And that's it. You can just download your own packs and just, create your own unique sounds and try to match it with your kit, though. That's the only thing, is that, like, don't go too crazy and have, like, like when your kit sounds kind of dull in the room, you don't want to have like a super bright, like modern sound. You want kind of a duller drum set so it matches the tonally and it blends in. You want it to blend and not just sound weird, because that can easily happen actually with sampling, is that it can be a little bit too polished, a little bit too squeaky clean compared to your actual room. And it doesn't match. It just sounds like something's like off. It sounds fake, digital. So that's really the only concerns, though. I'm just kind of throwing them at you, but it's really straightforward and simple, and that's it. Have a good one. Peace out.